Hey guys, welcome back to Primer Podcast. We are starting a brand new series. It's been a fun few weeks.
It certainly has. Yeah.
For your neighbor and being able to celebrate and just be excited about what God's doing here at St. Mark's and the community. But you know what? I'm glad to be back with you, and so starting right off, you get to start off this series, The Voice.
Yeah.
Listening for God in the day-to-day. So it's going to be a great series.
I was a little nervous at first. I thought I was going to have to sing, but we're not having any of that.
Hopefully. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, the voice.
The voice.
I tried out before and didn't make it. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about this series. It's a short one, but I think it'll be rich and deep and certainly relevant. Because everyone seems to express a longing that's not fully met to hear the voice of God.
Yeah.
Lots of questions about how do you listen? When do you listen? Where do you... how do you know if it's really the voice of God?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just going from, our hearts being postured for our neighbors. Yeah. And this is a great next step of learning to listen, and what steps we have to take to do that well. And so, okay. So this first story is about Elijah and how he his experience in listening for God's voice, and where he met God in this time of his journey was very, very different. And so I'm excited to dive into what that looks like. But before we go into that, so he's meeting God in a cave. And but before that, Elijah's experienced a lot up until this point.
Yeah, a lot of drama, a lot of spectacle. He confronts King Ahab and tells him there's going to be no rain, and that doesn't go over well as you'd imagine. So God tells him to go and live by a brook, that He's going to take care of him. I can imagine following those instructions and wondering, how's this going to work? How's the food going to be delivered? And sure enough, ravens come every day. And when the brook dries up, he's then told to move and to look for a widow who will provide food for him. And that happens. A lot of drama around that part of his story. And then he goes back to Ahab and challenges all of these false prophets, all these pagan prophets, to a kind of a showdown on a mountain. And
I think it said that was over 500.
Yeah,
right?
850. Okay. 450 prophets of Baal and 400 Asherah, and it's quite a scene. And then from that moment, he's on the run because Queen Jezebel is really in a snit and puts a price on his head, and he runs and hides, which is so fascinating that this courageous man of God, this prophet, would face 850 prophets and a king and a queen, and then be so afraid of just this one queen, Jezebel.
Yeah.
And so he runs and He wants to die at that point.
Yeah, that part was always, well, it made me stop and say, "What? Like what made you go from this trust in God,
Yeah.
to knowing that God was going to do what He said,
Yeah.
in front of these other prophets of Baal, and so, but then immediately lose that
Yeah.
in a different season."
I think this is when the story gets really, it becomes very meaningful to me. His story's hard to relate to up to that point in some ways because it's so dramatic. It's hard to find a parallel between his life and mine. But when he's in that state of despair and just asking God, let me die, that's when I begin to relate because I think the man is worn out.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's exhausted. And why that's so meaningful to me is because I've had the experience too. And what I know of it is that it distorts reality. It causes us to not think clearly and not believe the things that we truly believe.
Yeah.
And I love this about the nature and the character of God. He demonstrates such compassion, such deep care. And basically, the message is, Elijah, rest.
Mm-hmm.
Just lie down, take a nap. And of course, he's cared for again. He's fed. He needs nourishment and he needs rest. And then he's told to go to Mount Horeb, and that's where we run into the real heart of the story.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into the cave to hide, and he is desperately wanting to hear from God. And again, can't we all relate to those times in our life when we've been afraid, confused, in despair, disappointed, angry, and we need to hear from God. And because of what he had experienced of God up to that point, he had he'd seen a lot of drama. God had approached him in some pretty profound ways. And I think by then he was expecting that God would speak to him again in those kinds of ways.
Yeah. So before we move on, I think,
Please
read it?
Yeah.
All right. So 1 Kings 19, and I'm going to start at basically 9.
Yeah.
And so it says, "And the word of the Lord came to him. What are you doing here, Elijah?" He replied, "I've been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I'm the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." The Lord said, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, and for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And the wind was there. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Can we go back to the question God asked?
Yeah. What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Don't you love it when God asks a question like that and you know God knows the answer?
Yeah.
But I think there's something deeper in that question. I don't think it's just the obvious. I'm hiding. I'm afraid. I think it's a moment of clarity. I I, we all tell ourselves stories, don't we?
Yep.
Our lives are really storied lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect that was happening for Elijah. And the way he answers gives it away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one. He's been telling himself a story that
Right.
he's alone.
Yeah. And he needed some reassurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that realization that he was looking for God and in all the ways that I would say that he just experienced a very powerful moment of the way that God displayed His power in front of the other prophets of Baal, and so like I think that's to me I would probably feel the same way as I would be looking for God in all these grander things. Right. And you and I have talked about this, and like I've had a few people mention that they've not experienced the an audible voice, or even a feeling that God is speaking to them. Even Dallas Willard was written, and I'll admit I didn't finish this book, but he's a hard hit. Like I'm gonna have to wait and do it on a retreat or something. But in the hearing God, he mentioned his mother-in-law that was just had a very deep relationship with God. Even it like just explained to him that she has been waiting her whole life to hear from God, and that I think a lot of times what we're waiting for are these grander things, like the speaking through fire or the wind or the earthquake. But I'm going to finish reading.
Yeah, good.
So after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. Then a voice said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Do you want me to keep reading? I think
it's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I found myself wondering, what does it mean when he covers his face? Moses takes off his sandals. Mm-hmm. I think it must have been a moment of reverence. Mm-hmm. When you long to hear God, and then you hear God speak, however God chooses to. Yeah. I think it must inspire a reverence and awe. Mm. The God of the universe is speaking to me, and that's one of the things I love about this story. There was a deep relationship there. Mm-hmm. There was I would say a friendship. Yeah, and a reliance. Elijah knew he was toast if God didn't speak. Mm-hmm. And so I wonder about myself and how often I don't live in the expectation. And I want to be a person who's always listening for God's voice, because if he speaks anywhere, I think he speaks into our own life. Mm-hmm. I think he's spoken to me through my grandkids, mm-hmm. through my wife, through you, through countless friends. Yeah. God's not limited in the ways that he can speak to us. Right. I mean, this fall season and the color and all, I think God communicates with us, maybe not in the way we're expecting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of the story. Exactly. Yeah. I've never had an audible moment, but it's most of the time a stirring
something, and usually I have to pause and ask, like, what is it that you're wanting me to pay attention to? And sometimes it's odd.
So do you ever have a sense that God has spoken, but then you start to wonder, was that really God, or was that what I wanted to hear?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, um I think for me that has been a question that I've continued to go back to God. And usually, like, what I have found anyways is that like, I do think I tell myself a lot of stuff. And so I do think we can get in those two voices.
Yeah. So how do you discern the difference between God's actual voice, God speaking to you, and your imagination? Or
I think for me, what I've had to come and practice, and like I said, is definitely that pause, making sure that I slow down. But it- to acknowledge that if it's continuing to be a stirring,
yeah,
and it's not a one fleeting moment,
right,
or it makes me uncomfortable. A lot
yeah,
sometimes the things that are God make me more uncomfortable than what I tell myself.
yeah.
But not always.
Like
Sometimes
when
they're
he's
reassurance.
stretching you, perhaps
Right. Yeah.
challenging you, you can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that has has been helpful to me is to stop and ask the question: Does this sound like something God would say?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a simple test, because there are times when no, probably not.
Mhm.
But times when that 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 sounds like God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that you what practices do you put into your life, in your daily life? Because this is a listening to God
Yeah.
in our day to day. What do you do in your day to day to make your posture yourself?
Yeah. I think there are, and I like the way you pose the question. There are things that lead up
Mm-hmm.
to listening, to hearing the voice. Um, I have a practice that's very, very meaningful to me. Of I call it just sitting beneath the gaze of God,
Mm,
and I watch God watching me,
yeah. Mm,
and that I believe has led me into a place of deeper, stronger belief in connection with God, a belief that He's really crazy about me,
mhm.
that He loves me, He likes me, He wants to speak, and having that mindset, that belief about God, I think has opened me more. Um, Opened the my ability to hear,
Mhm.
to listen, and to hear. And then golly, I mean, we live busy lives.
Mhm.
I'm a busy person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise, and I find that being quiet,
Mhm.
still, is really, really, really important.
Yeah.
I also think just nurturing the desire to, you know, I think to the extent that we want to hear,
Mhm.
perhaps we're able.
Yeah. And I think that, like, realizing that this wasn't their only, God and Elijah's only
Yeah.
conversation. This was a lifestyle of listening that is taking place. And yeah, I think that's um, part of the understanding of that um, it's not a one and done type of thing,
Yeah.
that it's a slowing yourself down. But um, I don't think that God said don't be busy. I think,
Mm.
but He wants us to put him first.
Yeah. Yeah. Busyness is not the problem.
Yeah.
I think Jesus, last time I checked, lived a very, very busy life, but he disappeared a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be, a moment where the disciples are looking around. Where? He did it again.
Yeah. It's that rhythm.
Right.
I always do the roller coaster. It's
yeah. Yeah. There's a certain
to be a down.
rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think one other thing from this story that's been really meaningful to me is it's just put me back in touch with however much I want to listen and hear God's voice, God wants to speak even more. And so it's not like God's being coy and standoffish nearly as much as me.
Yeah. Yeah. He's waiting for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I am so glad to have been here with you on this week and being able to dive into it.
Jessica. Thank you.
So hopefully you guys are just loving this series as well, and we will see you soon.